Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. What I'm going to be doing on this video is taking the DJI Mini 3 Pro with the standard battery, which DJI says we're going to get around 34 minutes flight time in perfect conditions, and well, give it a real world test when it's not perfect conditions, just to see how long this battery will actually last. So let's get into it. Right then guys, so as you can see we are on screen, and then all I'm waiting for is to be able to get that satellite lock, which seems to be happening quite fast. You can see we've got 100% battery, which is always good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the recording. There we go, the home point has been updated, so let's go ahead and take off. And one thing I really like about this drone is basically just how quiet it is. It's much less intrusive. Now what I want to do is do this as a real world test. Okay, so I'm going to fly in normal mode. If I quickly pop the wind speeds on screen, you can see it is a bit of a mixed bag. We sort of have 4 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, etc. So, you know, it sort of replicates real world flying then. So I thought I'd start it off just in this location, and I'm not just going to fly around in sort of one altitude either. That's not really a real world test. So unfortunately, I've been thinking about ways to do this test, and sadly it looks like you're going to have to just put up with me talking for the time being. I just think it's going to be much easier to run everything in real time, but of course if I do get the opportunity to speed things up, I will of course do that. Okay, so let's just fly on ahead here, and the signal is doing pretty well. I do appreciate there is quite a few comments regarding the signal and this RC controller, but this seems to be absolutely fine as it currently stands. Okay, let me just pop the compass up. There we go. Compass on this RC controller is incredibly out. I can assure you I am pointing the controller towards the direction of the drone, so we're just going to be stuck a little bit there, aren't we, by the looks of it. So we've come to the end of that boat run. Let's get ourselves up, spin round, and let's do the return journey. And interestingly, as I've spun round, we did get that signal warning there. But like I said, I can assure you I'm pointing the drone, I'm pointing the controller towards the drone at all times. But like I say, I wanted to replicate real world, so let's talk about what I like about this drone so far then, because that's really what you want to hear. Well, first of all, as I've already mentioned, I love the fact of how quiet this drone is. So much less intrusive than the DJI Mini 2, and especially the Air 2S. The picture quality does seem pretty damn good as well. Obviously, if you haven't seen my test where I pit this in a video battle against the Autel Nano, the Mini 2 and the Air 2S, please do go watch that. And I also love how well it does in the wind as well. That has been a particular highlight, and I just think that it's pretty good. And someone is making a load of noise next to me. So let's just take a turn in here. There we go. And we'll head up this way. And for some reason the compass on the controller seems to have corrected itself. Let's just go top down. I do find that even in cinematic mode, or C mode if you wish, it's possibly still a bit too fast actually. I would like it to be a little bit slower, so I'm having to just throttle the sticks down a little bit. Got some weak signal there, or a little bit of judder. But yeah, the reason for this is, of course, you know, DJI do advertise that this drone should be giving you 34 minutes flight time, but in the real world we know that's not what we're going to get. But I just wanted to see what we will actually achieve. Okay, so again, getting a bit of interference, possibly from those power lines. So let's gain some altitude slightly. And like I say, this is a real world test, guys. You know, this is equivalent to actually flying around in a real world situation where people might want to record certain different things, etc, etc. Signal is dropping in and out and struggling ever so slightly, but it's doing okay, and we've not lost any connection. So yeah, going back to the things that I really like about this drone then, okay, obviously I've mentioned the camera, I've mentioned the quietness of it as well, which really do impress me. But one of the main things I do actually like is the APAS 4.0, the obstacle avoidance as well. When I was testing it on my Master Shots video, it seemed to do so much better than the DJI Air 2S, which seems to awkwardly just oh my god, she's finally gone. The Air 2S seems to sort of awkwardly kind of just stop and then maneuver around you, whereas this actually seems to do a good job of flying past you much quicker, and I think that could be quite good to get some cool shots using the obstacle avoidance sensors at some point. So yeah, obviously this is not a range test, of course, but of course as part of the course I am going to be testing the signal, and again that compass indicator is completely off. It's showing green to say that I am pointing it at the drone, even though on the indicator it's not looking accurate, so I don't know what that's about. I mean, I'm flying directly to myself. Let me just show you. Yep, I am sat right there. Okay, sat right there, as you can see, and I'm obviously pointing here at the drone, but the compass indicator doesn't seem to be too grand, which is a shame, and maybe something DJI need to work on. I have calibrated the compass on this controller, but clearly not really doing a good thing here. Now, I do really love the feedback to the controller, and I do have many comments to make on this new RC controller, because even though the video feed I can see looks absolutely fantastic, unfortunately the screen recording which I'm going to be using, which you will be watching right now, sadly that's a big disappointment. Okay, for some reason it only seems to want to record in 720p 720 by 480, which really isn't good at all. But it is what it is, and we work with what we have. I will be doing a follow-up video on this, just to basically show my issues I have with the controller. So please do watch out for that video, because I've got quite a lot to say on this new DJI RC, and I think you're going to find that quite interesting. So far, even though it is a little bit blustery, it does seem to be managing quite well with the wind. Certainly got no complaints here. So let's just bring the altitude down slightly. Like I say, the whole point behind this test is the fact that it is a real world test, which is what you want to see, isn't it? You want to see a real world test. You know, make sure how the drone performs is similar to the conditions you will be using it. There we go. So flying. I do wonder if this drone has that altitude issue, because I certainly feel like I'm less than 13 meters high here. But yeah, just wanted to do this just so you can see the colour on the screen. So let's go ahead and get some more altitude then. So we are 60% through our battery, and the flight time, according to my screen recorder, is currently well, 8 minutes 55 is the recording, and obviously we took off a few seconds after that, so that's a good visual indicator for you guys. But I'll also put some sort of clock on here as well, so you can see. So we go, let's just head over to this sort of higher interference area and just see how it does. And again, you know, talking about the reception on this new RC, there has been quite a bit of displeasure regarding the signal strength and a fair few tests. And there we go, let's get up. Let's get up. I don't want to break in signal, I don't want to return to home situation. Not on this test anyway. There we go. That was about to drop out just over 500 meters away. It's really difficult with this compass being off. Of course, I know that I'm pointing the controller towards the drone because I know where the drone is, because I can see the damn thing. But sadly, yeah, that is a bit of an issue. But yeah, you know, just to recap, I'm overly impressed with this DJI Mini 3 Pro. The drone itself I'm impressed with mostly. I like the drone more than I like the controller package. But like I said, just to repeat myself, you know, I will be posting a follow-up video where I'll explain all in full detail, so you know why. And that was a very curious and interested bird, wasn't it? So again, 10 minutes flight time and we have got 50% battery. So let's just, I want to just head into the wind and just see how well we do. Yeah, it's not doing too much of a bad job, is it? Yeah, I don't think we can grumble at that. And then out of nowhere we've got that weak signal, so let's gain some altitude. See if it comes, where's that come from? We shouldn't be getting that. Let's see if we can get it back. Yeah, certainly shouldn't be getting that. But then I do have some trees in front of me, so that could explain it. But of course we've raised altitude to try and combat that anyway. So again, pretty much no matter what direction I fly in, incredibly impressive. Even going slightly higher, this drone seems to be able to get that 10 meters per second. So I'm heading directly into the wind as it stands. And yeah, I'm quite impressed by that. I think that's doing a cracking job. So let's just take it up to 120 then and see how it handles the wind. Like I said, the whole idea is this is a real world test. There she is. See, when you look at the drone up in the air at 120 meters, it doesn't look that high, you know. It really doesn't look that high whatsoever. In fact, to be fair, my eyesight is quite good. I can actually see the drone banking. It's banking to the right. Let's have a look at my screen. It looks quite level here, but maybe it's just my eyes. So yeah, as we're flying at that higher altitude, you can see that he's struggling a bit more with the wind now. So let's bring it down so we don't need to fly that high, do we? But it is also killed the battery a fair bit. So yeah, it is battling the wind, and like I say, I want this to be a real world test. I know I keep repeating myself, but it is important to mention. Please do not kick off in the comments section. I do appreciate that under perfect conditions it'll get longer, but people don't fly their drones in perfect conditions, do they? They just don't. What they do is they fly their drones like real people in the real world with wind, you know. And of course, one thing to mention as well when it comes to flight time, battery life, etc., don't get me wrong, it is also the battery temperature will have an effect as well. But of course, this drone has had quite a few charges now, so it should be well into its cycle. So with 34% left, it's certainly dropping a fair bit since we got to 50%. Let's just do some zooming in. There we go. So we're now just zoomed in as we're flying forwards. So yeah, unfortunately, like I say, one of the biggest letdowns on this drone is the screen recording quality. It's not good at all, I'm afraid, from this controller anyway, to the point where, again, I'm giving my game away here, but I kind of feel like it might make more sense to actually buy the drone on its own and use your RCN1 controller, personally, but again, we will see. So I've got a bunch of cars heading up, probably people coming to fish. Lovely, not what I want, but is what it is. So let's just head up this way, and then we will have to bring the drone back shortly once we get that return to home warning. And I think it's best all round if I do let the drone return to home when it prompts us, because that is a safety feature. So I think it is best to utilize that. And then we'll judge our flight time based on what it does. Again, that's really odd. So I didn't move my controller and the signal dropped when I spun the drone back round towards me. Interesting. But yet it had a full signal on the way out. But really, guys, you know, my signal's been fine today. You know, it's not a high interference area, which is one of the points I made when I did my urban range test. If you fly out in the open, you're not going to have any range problems really, unless you're flying super low over interference areas. You won't have a problem, but that was the whole point of that test, for it to actually be a test. So there we go, the drone is flying past, and I can see it is banking to the left. Yep, there we go. And as you can see on the compass indicator, it is banking to the left. So one last bit of altitude, because we're getting down to 21%. And yes, I'm not using its full capacity by going all the way down to 1. So low battery, the aircraft will return to home after countdown. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to cancel that, even though I said that I wouldn't. And that is because I think that's a little bit early. Okay, we're only 300 meters away. Oh, do you know what? Right, okay, it said that it wants to do that. So let's do that then. Okay, let's return home. So hopefully by the time I land, I'll be on possibly about sort of 12%, maybe. So just to explain my reasoning why I'm using the DJI Mini 3 Pro on this test rather than in a comparison video with a drone such as the DJI Mini 2, and that really is because I think it would be an unfair test. Of course, my DJI Mini 2 is 18 months old now, my batteries have had loads of cycles, so really, you know, it wouldn't be a fair test unless I went out and bought a brand new DJI Mini 2 battery, cycled it for the same number of cycles as the DJI Mini 3 one, and then maybe it might be a bit more relevant. But ultimately, at the end of the day as well, there is different battery technology between the two drones. The DJI Mini 3 Pro is using a lithium-ion battery, whereas the DJI Mini 2 uses a LiPo battery. And we're coming down. What did I say, 12% landing? There we go. So I think that was pretty conclusive, wasn't it? And similar to what I have seen elsewhere as well. The new DJI Mini 3 Pro with the battery life, which should last 34 minutes, in a real world example, thanks to the fact that you could see how long we was recording for. And as you saw, I started recording just before I took off. we can pretty much say that the battery will, in a real world application anyway, will last for around 19 minutes. Of course, battery temperature, wind conditions, etc., will make a big difference. Not recording will make a big difference if you're just flying around, snapping photos. Using active track, I found, will actually deplete the battery so much faster. But there we go. At the end of the day, I wanted to bring you this test, and hopefully you found it useful, informative, and I've done quite a few videos on the DJI Mini 3 Pro now already. So what I will do is I'll put these into a playlist and leave a link to probably that side of my head so you can go and check them out. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and see you again soon.